It's a sobering sign of Florida's mental health crisis among children. More involuntary mental health exams are being done on kids in Florida than ever before, the number exceeding 38,000 between 2020 and 2021, according to the latest annual report released by USF's Center for Baker Act Reporting. That's an increase of 77% in just the past decade.
I don't think there's anything else more than that.
Campaign finance records show Vertal Systems has also logged thousands of political campaign dollars in Florida, contributing a total of $26,000 to Republicans here since 2017, including a $10,000 donation to the Republican Party a few years ago, and a $1,000 donation this past June to Panama City Representative Jay Trumbull. And across the state, we found most school districts are not being deluged with book challenges and bans. We polled Florida's 67 school districts starting in February. Of 45 school districts that responded to our requests, 7 districts reported book challenges, with most challenged over just a few books. Polk County's 16 book challenges are one of the highest. But Indian River County Schools has had by far the most of districts that reported to us. 156 books challenged by conservative moms group, Moms for Liberty. Who knew?
Politicians are crooks.
Who knew school board meetings,
it's up to you,
would become battlegrounds?
You belong on a national registry.
Who knew moms would become soldiers?
It's against the law to conceal your identity.
And who knew our children's classrooms would become targets of a 21st century culture war?
We tell you what you're going to teach them.
Those shortfalls laid out in this 2022 statewide emergency shelter plan report. In it, 2 regions of the state are described as areas of concern because of its deficit of general population shelter space. Florida's largest region, South Florida, and its neighbor to the west, Southwest Florida.
Personally, I like math, so I thought that maybe math would be fairly easy for me to review.
Chris Allen is talking publicly about what she found when she reviewed math textbooks for Florida's Department of Education.
Your biggest issues were with critical race theory.
Yes, I feel like just based on those findings that these states should not approve the curriculum.
From a pandemic to politics, mask mandates to the critically dubbed Don't Say Gay bill.
We say gay! We say gay!
This year, the rights of Florida students and what happens in their classrooms became battles for the history books.
We're formally challenging over 100 books,
with books fueling some of the most passionate fights.
Distribute sexually explicit material. This is not about not teaching history.
I'm so tired of begging because I'm seeing this filth.
It shocks me sometimes.
They are part of an unknown number of working Florida families experiencing homelessness for the first time, victims to a housing crisis hitting people who work but can't work out a budget to cover rising rent prices. Florida has the 3rd highest population nationwide. It's also number 3 for state homeless counts, and that's only by national estimates advocates fear are grossly undercounted.
The issue of family homelessness is a critical issue.
I'm going to pull it out.
I am not the one that's most knowledgeable here.
They made thousands of these during the Second World War.
It's amazing what our young staff knows.
Wherever Germany got to during the Second World War, these would be there along with the Kriegslocks.
Marco, my youngest employee.
It's perfect. I just turned 18. Today's my birthday, actually, so. My name is Marco Camuzzi.
Is a go-to person if you want to know something about European trains, digital, even American trains. He just knows everything.
My uncle had model trains. He had a train set. He built a table for my cousin. Then when my cousin grew out of it, all his stuff went to me.
We bought some of the houses around here, set up a nonprofit, Safety Harbor Art and Music Center. Whimsy wire is what we work in, so we do lots of flowers and names, all kinds of stuff. Love with a little heart at the end of it.
This skateboard park, we just painted a couple weeks ago, a big community project. All these mosaic panels were done.
I feel like they run the courtroom, they run the judge.
It was a system I trusted, and I shouldn't have.
They are among dozens of family members who recently contacted me.
She is our blood. She needs to be with us.
Through email, by phone.
We're going through it right now.
My sister is also affected by the same process.
Sharing how they say Florida's child welfare system, created to protect children and support families, went out of its way to break their families apart.
She was given away and never seen by her family again.
I just feel like she was basically kidnapped from us.
They just stonewalled us.
This is the last picture Kurt Houston has with his granddaughter in person.
We was at the water park.
It was 2018.
I had her up to the water spigot and she's just and pouring water on me, and it was just a lot of fun.
His grandchildren were in foster care and have been since their mom died of a drug overdose that same year. But so far, the Houstons' attempts at adopting their young relatives have failed.
They're our grandchildren. That's what we have left of our daughter.
Research shows children do better living with family. So much better, state and federal laws mandate state welfare systems must diligently search for ready, willing, and able relatives before placing a child with a stranger in foster care. The Houstons say that's not what happened to them.
We've been through, use the expression, we've been through hell and back.
Instead, they claim the state is painting them as detached and unfit to bring their grandchildren home. In this 2021 caregiver home study they provided to us, neither grandparent was flagged for any disqualifying offenses. Their home, clean and appropriate for children. The home study approved, yet their request to adopt denied. Among the reasons stated, the children's bond with their foster mom and lack of any significant bond with their biological grandfather, who, according to this paperwork, also missed 4 visits with the children last year.
I showed up every single visit. I was on camera ready to go, you know.
Even if he had to leave work early.
Which I did often.
He screwed up.
It's indescribable.
Shocking is also how this South Florida grandmother describes her fight for her granddaughter, a veteran neonatal nurse who adopted the baby's brother years earlier. Susan Carrier provided us her state denial letter, stating the baby also had a strong bond with her foster parents, who had been caring for her while the baby's mother tried to recover from addiction. When mom lost that battle a year later, grandma sought custody. Too late.
I mean, the state has duties to families in crisis and protocols to follow, and they didn't do it.
I don't get it at all. I'm shocked. I don't know what to do.
These Ohio aunts devastated too after they blame unnecessary system delays for keeping their young niece from family in Ohio, where the baby's own siblings already live. In paperwork they provided, the baby's mom, struggling with addiction, requested the child be placed with family there. These aunts passed home studies, but a Florida judge denied it, ruling the baby stay with her Florida foster parents instead, where she's well bonded. Those foster parents also employed as guardian ad litem, legal advocates for kids in the state's care.
She basically ran the show. You would have thought the foster mom was the caseworker.
It's a system often criticized for operating in secret and making its own rules. And these latest family accusations echo a recently filed lawsuit we first told you about last month. In it, 4 different families accuse workers within Florida's foster care system of fabricating evidence, hiding and withholding key information, and ignoring state and federal family laws to divert children away from biological family members, then place them with system-connected strangers seeking children of their own.
If, in fact, what is alleged is indeed true, that's pretty horrific.
Loyola University School of Law professor Dr. Sasha Coupe is a leading expert on kinship care, child welfare, and family rights.
Decision-making in this area is so discretionary.
And with child welfare systems often overburdened and understaffed, she says it all contributes to the long-standing issue of relatives being bypassed, ignored, or unjustly disqualified from getting custody.
Systemically, I think part of the problem is that we don't have a lot of information about what happens in child welfare overall.
We know Florida's Department of Children and Families wouldn't answer questions about any of the families we've spoken to, including families named in this lawsuit. Cases involving child placement and custody are, by law, confidential, making it difficult for outsiders, including us, to fully understand why some relatives seeking custody of young loved ones are approved while others denied. But data we found online shows in 2020, the percentage of Florida children adopted by relatives neared 50%. consistent over the last several years and among the highest of states nationwide. According to DCF, trained professionals evaluate each case and try to keep families together whenever it's possible and safe. When it's not, the department works with partners to make sure placement and services are in the best interest of the child. Not according to these relatives, still fighting the state to keep their families intact.
We're not going to give up. She is our blood. She needs to be with us.
Our intention is to get our grandkids at any cost.
Just letting you know we're out here floating south of Marathon.
10-4, this will be coffee.
We're on the water.
I was going to run to the Haitian Self-Rater real quick.
With federal agents.
This target at the moment is a little over 16 nautical miles offshore.
From Air and Marine Operations.
Coming up.
A specialized law enforcement division of U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Their mission: stop migrants from making it on land in the U.S. illegally.
It's getting tough because it's a numbers game.
If Florida is a gateway into the country, the Florida Keys is a 180-mile-long central hub where freedom-seeking migrants, mostly from Cuba and Haiti, are often willing to do anything and risk everything to get here.
I've seen people that have shot themselves. I've seen people that have tried to cut themselves.
Marine Interdiction Agent John Apollonie has been patrolling the waterways in the Keys
829, 853
since 2009.
The thought process is if I injure myself enough that they'll have to take me to a hospital.
With so much attention focused on the influx of migrants crossing the southwestern border, here in the southeast,
here on the ocean, totally different set of problems.
The wave of migrant landings and seaside attempts are also on the rise.
It's the most I've seen since I've been here.
According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, more than half of all migrant interdictions at sea in the U.S. are conducted by the Miami Air and Marine Branch, which includes the Florida Keys. This year, those units apprehended 139 migrants on water. For comparison, in 2021, that number was 54.
Does something more need to be done to secure our borders?
We have a finite number of agents and assets. So that being said, it does get tougher every day with the more that come, the harder it is on us.
To help control the surge, agents from borders around the country are now doing 30-day rotations here. This agent hails from the northern border in Michigan.
Plotting a course to a possible target of interest.
Stopping people from entering the state illegally on water.
33.5 nautical miles west of us.
Begins with tracking them in the air. Once air crews spot suspicious boats, the Marine team in these high-tech boats move in.
It's been almost daily.
It doesn't take long to get a new alert.
Right now we know of one rustic vessel and possibly a go-fast vessel.
Troy 014 also.
Go-fast boats like these have long been used to smuggle in desperate migrants. These are just a few images of recent captures and the sometimes dozens of migrants hidden inside.
Oh, wow.
On this day, their target is some 40 miles southeast of Marathon.
This is our first interdiction of the day.
As we inch closer, we can see the vessel is homemade, known as rustic for its rickety build, often shoddy mechanics. But it's packed with people, mostly men, a few women, all from Cuba.
Are they typically repeat?
So, yeah, I mean, we've found some that have been, once they run biometrics, that have been into the country before. Sometimes they even have Florida driver's licenses. So they'll make it here, they'll get some kind of status, and then they'll go back for one reason or another.
With partners from the U.S. Coast Guard in tow, the group is given life jackets and quickly transferred to a federal vessel. We get the clear, it's safe to approach.
How are you? ¿Cómo estás?
They smile, some wave at our cameras, answer our questions, even take out phones to capture the moment.
¿Qué quieres de América? Why do you want to come here? In Cuba? Nada en Cuba. This group of migrants just told us they've been traveling on the water for 8 days to try to make it to America from Cuba because there's nothing in Cuba. And they were just interdicted, which means Coast Guard's they're going to load up on the Coast Guard cutter and they're going to be sent back to Cuba. That's the chance they take.
A closer look at their wood frame boat.
Jugs are for water or fuel.
Shows just how risky this week-long journey was. The first interdiction of the day, complete.
Everybody was safe. That's all you can hope for.
And on to the next one.
And on to the next one.
In the Florida Keys, Katie LeGrone for the Florida 24 Network.